Ball first and 10 at the 12-yard line of the Seahawks. Sean goes right, has a cutback lane, and he does. He's across the 20, the 25, 30, 35, 40. Here he goes. Are they going to catch him? 40, 35, 30. Touchdown, Seahawks!
12, they're bringing the trophy home. Your Seahawks, Super Bowl 48 champions.
Holy catfish! Baldwin's going to throw back to Russell. He's got it! Touchdown! Seahawks! Are you kidding me?
Let's Hawk It Out with your hosts Kevin Porter and Rich Harris.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new episode of Let's Hawk It Out. As always, joined by Rich Harris. I'm Kevin Porter. What's the haps, dude? What's going on?
Hey, a big W, a big nail biter, but a W at the end of the day. So I'm very happy. It was a good day.
Well, your Seattle Seahawks came out on top yesterday, fighting the Cleveland Browns for 4 straight quarters, dude. And for 3 of those quarters, it did not look so pretty, but by some way, somehow, the Seattle Seahawks, they came out, like you said, dude, with the win, 24-20. As you were in the stadium for this game, Rich, I mean, what was your kind of just going into the game? I think we both kind of knew that the Cleveland Browns were going to play as tough. I didn't realize they were going to play as that tough, especially after we went in and scored 2 touchdowns right off the bat. I mean, you kind of thought hopefully we were going to coast for the rest of the afternoon, but that definitely wasn't the case.
No, it wasn't, and I had their record wrong last week. I thought they had a worse record than us, and that was bad. My bad on just lack of time for research. But they were 4-2, just like us, and they were also, if I remember right, they were the best running team in the league. I think that's league wide as far as their ground game and the amount of yards and stuff they get per game. So, it was great at first. I thought, yeah, we got these guys' number. It's going to be a great day. You can't really get too far ahead of yourself. And then next thing you know, here they come. And it started to be a battle there. And then the third quarter, you started to get a little worried when they got ahead of us. And it was almost like we're looking some sort of a Hail Mary of sorts, so to speak. Something had to happen in that late hour of the fourth quarter. And us fans there were just like sitting there on the edge of our seats, just like that, like something's got to change. Something dynamic has to happen. And the vibe really just started, the roar and everything just started getting louder. The sidelines, the coaches, everybody was waving towels. The cheerleaders just started going. I think they put on AC/DC, dude. It was insane. The vibe just increased. Everybody got real loud, and then all of a sudden that interception happened, and it was nuts. From there on, it was nuts. It was like, oh man, we could really win this now, and everybody in the whole stadium could feel it. And it was talk about either going to go home with a loss that sucked, or you're going to go home with a surprising win, and that's what it turned out to be. Was a surprising win there at the last few minutes.
Well, it definitely was like a perfect storm going in. It's crazy to like hear you describe the stadium and like how the momentum just shifted just like that. Just one AC/DC song, that's all it took, and then momentum shifted. I thought it was like again, going into yesterday, like I knew we were gonna play tough. And another thing to add in there is that the Browns' defense is one of the top rated in the NFL currently at the moment, and they definitely held us, that's for sure, dude. Again, for 3 straight quarters. I mean, we were very lucky to score the 17 within that first quarter, because from there on out, dude, it definitely we got by as good as we definitely could. It definitely seemed like we'd have a little bit of momentum, but then we would just stall out, and which is again something we've been talking about this whole entire season, Rich, where we have glimpses of the offense just playing lights out, dude, coming in, doing what they need to do. And then we have those moments again where we have stretches of just pure mediocrity. And again, going back to that momentum shift with the interception yesterday, our boy Jamal Adams getting the assist with coming right off his helmet. Then Julian Love obviously making the actual catch. And then Geno and offense coming in there, dude, and doing exactly what they need to do to get that touchdown. Again, it's like you don't want to like be too hard on the offense because at the end of the day, we won. But at the same time, though, dude, that was some bad play in there for much of the game.
Yeah, with the Jamal Adams thing, I think it was a fan either behind me or in line somewhere on the way out. But somebody said Jamal Adams finally decided to use his head for once. And I thought that was pretty cool. But at the end of the day, going back to that consistency with the offense, yeah, we did start out on fire. We did start out scoring, and then we sputtered again, and then Geno threw some interceptions. Geno started out in those first few times when we had glimpses of greatness and hit DK over the shoulder. That was such a beautiful pass, especially there in the stadium when he just looped it over, nice rainbow, and just DK with his over the shoulder catch. And after that, he couldn't find DK. He was throwing it over him, under him, away from him, and they weren't connected. But how about that Tyler Lockett, man? It was his day. And it left and right, it was Tyler Lockett, and then they got Jackson Smith involved more. But yeah, the offense definitely sputtered again, where the defense held their own, and the defense kept us consistently in the game. But I looked up at the time of possession at one point, and they definitely had more possession than us. We were giving up the ball more and not taking advantage of the offense opportunities.
I mean, and I completely agree with you, man. We definitely were not taking advantage of the opportunities that were laid in front of us at that moment. I mean, you take a look at Geno Smith. He went 23 for 37, 254 yards, averaging only 6.9 yards. But he did have two touchdowns, and he had the 2 interceptions, unfortunately. But one thing I got to point out, dude, is our offensive line played pretty solid. I mean, he was only sacked 1 time for a loss of 6 yards, and you compare that to PJ Walker, who got sacked 3 times for a loss of 27 yards, dude. But comparatively, for the most part, I mean, on paper, looking at it, it sounds like Geno and PJ both had kind of a very similar day. But I don't know, man. At the end of the day, I mean, obviously the Seahawks won and whatnot, and we obviously saw the 3 quarters that Geno was in there, and definitely they were not taking advantage of the opportunities that they had at that moment. But yeah, man, shout out, like you said, dude, Tyler Lockett, though, 81 yards, dude, averaging 10.1 yards with the 1 touchdown, long at 17, not out of 9 targets. He had 8 receptions, dude. So, Tyler Lockett showing up. And again, it's like him and Bobby Wagner, dude. It's like the fountain of youth. It's like, how long have these guys been on our team, dude? Like a decade plus at this point. And it feels like they're playing their best ball right now as we speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't tell if they're in their peak, their prime, or if they've, or because they're both just playing top notch, and especially for veterans and their age level. Tyler just comes through at those moments when you really need him, especially when we need those first downs or something. And I always talk about how he knows right where the ref is, so he can get the ref the ball, especially if time's ticking. He'll walk the ball, run the ball over to the ref, and be like, "Put that down so my center can snap it." That's how cool he is, and how smart he is, and keen to the game. With the 2 quarterbacks having similar stats, I think that's just a test to what we were talking about, having 2 good defenses, each of them facing really good defenses here. And that's what's going to happen, I guess, but I still think Geno can clear it up. And a couple of guys, I think it was a guy on the train, said his voice was more hoarse each week from yelling at Geno, and so he didn't really like Geno much at all. We looked around as soon as I said Drew Lock, like at some point this season we may give Drew Lock a chance, and I said, not when you're winning, probably not going to replace the quarterback quite yet, but we may see him at some point in this year. Hopefully that's not because we're going in a different direction and we desperate, and but once somebody said Lock, a bunch of guys just were looking around going, let's try some of that, just he's younger, maybe he would make better decisions. We don't know that. So maybe Geno's just in a struggling point. I don't know, but Geno could definitely do better, because you said the line was doing better. We all saw that the line was doing better. So it wasn't necessarily just the line this time making Geno struggle. Geno was doing 1 reads where he wasn't going through his progressions, and he's just staring down the receiver he wants to throw to, and the defense is keying in on that. And I think it's pretty obvious to a lot of us fans that he's just not going through his progressions, like his reads. Is this open? Is that next one open? Is that one open? He's just focusing on one guy. And when you just stick to that one guy, all the defenders can see where your eyes are, and they can start to adjust to where you're going to put the ball.
Yeah, it's definitely when you're going to make a mistake is when you're only making the 1 read. And I think he's just maybe getting way too much into his head right now at this point. Cause I mean, here we are, like third game in, we had the Arizona game. We also have the Cincinnati game where this issue with him throwing some interceptions has been popping up a little bit more than like we'd like to see, which, I mean, when Russell was playing, dude, I mean, you were always good for like maybe 1 interception here and there. But when you're getting multiple interceptions within the game, and obviously, you know, we won turnover battle against the Browns this past Sunday. But man, I mean, it could have easily gone the other way again. You know, it was more Seahawks football, dude. Just a nail biter all the way down to the end. Luckily, this time around, it landed on our side, and we weren't on the losing side. But yeah, I mean, you don't want to bench a quarterback when you're winning. I mean, by all means, but I mean, they definitely have to see. He needs to get more comfortable in that pocket, dude. Because again, like we said, man, the offensive line, I mean, played super well, dude, super well yesterday, and they definitely kept him up. And you know, there were times when he did, you know, slip out and he did get away, and that's great. But those reads are very important. I think if he's not doing his checkdowns, I mean, then we're gonna have a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, it's decision making on the quarterback's part. Some of that relates to the line, like we talked about last week. This week, it wasn't as much of a problem at all because they kind of did their part. But yeah, going back to us pulling out the win there, they were marching down the field on us, and they had the momentum, they had the lead, and I think all of us were scared. You were probably scared at home, like, oh shit, you know, this is gonna be a loss, and something just out of the blue happens with Jamal getting his head in the way, and we couldn't even tell how that got deflected in the stadium. I think I seen it or heard it later in the highlights, but so be it. However it happened, it was the luck of that we needed, and it just happened. And otherwise they were on the path to win the game, in my opinion. So that sucked on our throwback day and everything, you know, which was great, by the way. They transformed every single thing that you could think of there, and it was totally felt like you were at a retro game. I mean, or at, you know, back in the past. They did a fabulous job of doing that. Really did. Music and all.
On TV, it looked
Absolutely
really good.
Great.
It looked really good.
Great.
Yeah, they had there was a comment earlier this week where I think JJ Watt made some remark about how, you know, talking about all the throwback jerseys this year, you know, because I think Tampa Bay, Philly, they all had their throwbacks. And here, you know, Seattle comes along, and it's like, dude, we could easily just slip right on back into those jerseys on a weekly basis, dude. I mean, I understand it's a special thing, and we're a throwback to the Kingdom and whatnot, and a throwback to the 90s, but it's just like, it looked really cool. I mean, I don't know. There's something about Seattle, and just, I don't know, man. Even if I wasn't like living in the Pacific Northwest, dude, like I would look at the Seahawks and just be like, damn, they are like a cool club. You know, they're like they're a hit club. You know, they're in it, dude. And Pete Carroll, you know, conveys that with his attitude, and you know how young of a heart he has despite his age on the field, you know, and whatnot. Like,
right.
It was really cool to see the throwbacks. But you know, going back to the game real quick, I mean, we got a really tough. You know, we got a tough little run coming up. I mean, besides the Commanders, which again, you know, it's any given Sunday. I mean, we got the Ravens next weekend, we got the Commanders, and then I think by that point we're at least like maybe 1 week out from Thanksgiving, and then we have the San Francisco
Rams
49ers.
Right.
Do we have that Rams game in there too?
It's somewhere in there, I thought, because I seen an article today about Stafford's thumb or something. They said it might be out for the Seahawks game, and I'm like, well, how many weeks is that? I know we got to play this a second time.
Yeah, so it's Ravens, Commanders, then we go on the road. So it's like road game, home game, road game, home game, and it starts on the road against the Ravens, then we're home against the Commanders, and then we're on the road down there in LA. Then we finish up the month in
so 3 weeks out to the Rams again. Okay, down at LA. Okay, and then you have 4 weeks out is when we'll be back at the stadium for that Niners game.
Yeah, and that's,
you know, neither one of us could get the day off the next day. We both just recently heard that we got denied, so it's obviously the day after Thanksgiving.
Oh no,
we're both
damn,
in the hospitality business, so we got to be there for other customers that are going to be out and about. But anyway, so yeah, we're going to have to go there and just come on back the day of and everything, and
oh man,
you know, take care
that's
of it
tough.
that way. So
but
it'll be a rough one, but it's all good.
I mean, you get to see the Seahawks play a primetime game, dude. I mean, this is like being in that stadium, dude, for a primetime game is a happening, dude. Just going for a regular game, you know, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, like that's a happening. But dude, when you throw it in primetime, and let's go ahead and talk about it. It's like we manifested it, Rich. The San Francisco 49ers have lost the last 3 games. We're in first place right now, dude.
they're vulnerable. Their initial record wasn't the true team that they are. I think I've said it a few times. You know, the Seahawks are proving why we're up and coming and why we're holding down a record like this. But they're on a downturn, I think, and their quarterback isn't as good as, you know, to carry the team. I think it's comparable to Garoppolo. You know, that they're just enough to maybe be game manager or something. But it's my understanding he's hurt again too. So I don't know who they got behind him. No, it could be the backup better than the starter again, just like it's been a lot of times there.
Well, it's like, yeah, dude, I was talking to my buddy, Jack Hennessy, shout out that dude. He was talking about how he feels that the teams are going to start breaking down Brock Purdy. Like he's going to be got basically. Like they're going to figure out what he does, how he does it, why he does it. And they're just going to basically systematically tear him to the ground, dude, which is good news for us as Seattle Seahawks fans. I mean, we want to see San Francisco at the bottom every single season. But I mean, again, dude, like I believe in a manifestation, you know, did occur here within this situation. I think we really were, it was you and I, dude. It's our podcast that really played into this, the downfall of the San Francisco 49ers this season so far. But
yeah,
game's upcoming.
Maybe take a look at their next 4 weeks if you can pull that up real quick while we're on the subject and see if you can see who they have to face as compared to us, and we'll just do a little 4-week snapshot. You know, we've got the Ravens, the Rams, and the Niners. I would say all of those are tough, and the Commanders, and again, those are all tough matchups. The Commanders gave a run to the Eagles yesterday. You know, they gave them a run for their money, and right there, speaking of us being at the top of the NFC West, we're second, my understanding, in the actual NFC, right there next to the Eagles. So it's getting crowded on the NFC side, and it's getting a little crowded on the NFC side or AFC side. I looked today, the Ravens are number 4 on the AFC side. So we've got our days cut out for us, or our next 4 weeks definitely cut out for us. What's the Rams looking like? Niners.
Yeah. The Niners. So taking a look at the 49ers schedule. So next Sunday, actually they're on so this next weekend they're on a bye actually. So they got the bye coming up, and then that following Sunday, when we're playing the Commanders, they're on the road in Jacksonville, taking on the Jaguars. With Jaguars, I think are on top of their division right now.
Yeah, they've been pretty good.
And then they're home for the Buccaneers, which, dude, I mean, the Buccaneers have been playing pretty decent this year so far. I didn't catch if they won or lost yesterday, but I know that they're definitely competing for the NFC South divisional title down there. And then they come into Lumen Field to play the Seahawks on that primetime Thanksgiving game, dude.
Right.
So I mean, they got the bye, but I mean, they definitely have 2 tough opponents. You know, being the Jaguars and the Buccaneers.
Sure. So they got just as much of a struggle as we do to go here or there, or the whole any given Sunday that we talk about, and not really being an outweighed matchup. So that just leads to, you know, again, the higher probability that we'll still have a pretty tight or close record, and that game will just be like a straight up playoff game.
Can't wait.
Yeah,
dude.
Thanksgiving game.
I can't wait, dude. I'm
Unless
marking it on my
tank and we keep going.
I was just gonna say I'm marking that on my calendar, dude.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's I'm really excited. No, you're there. I hear you.
Okay.
Go.
Yeah, right on. No, so I think that's gonna just. I'm glad that you compared notes for us on their schedule, because that way it'll maybe lead up to all planets lining up and us still being. I'd love to leave them behind and us continue to win. Don't get me wrong, but the way it's looking, the writing on the wall is looking like it's going to be again close. Probably have really close. What am I trying to say? Records,
yeah.
Close records.
Yeah.
And then it'll be like a playoff matchup, prime time in front of the whole world, nation, etc. Thanksgiving evening. So
I want some revenge from last year, dude. We got blown out last year by them on that Thursday night game. It wasn't
3 wins. Yeah. They pulled off 3
beat
wins.
us 3 times last season, dude. I want a little bit of revenge.
That out.
Yep. And then of course we're gonna go back to San Francisco later on in the season, but definitely the next month, dude. I mean, here we are going into November, and again, the Seahawks they're on top of the division. For how long that is, we'll have to wait and see, obviously, the next coming weeks. But I know that as we're recording right now, the Detroit Lions are taking on the Las Vegas Raiders, and if Detroit does win, they technically will have a better record than us. I think because they're 5-2 already, they'll be 6-2, but we have a tiebreaker though, because we beat them back in like week 2 or whatever. So.
Okay.
Yeah, all matchups count, dude. It shows you right there, dude. So.
All right. Well, we'll have to get out there and get that game finished. I think we covered everything for this one. So
yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely, dude. Nothing else? No final words?
No. Go
Awesome.
Hawks.
Go Hawks, dude. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kevin Porter for Rich Harris. We will see you guys next time. Peace.
All right.
Hell yeah. Cool.
Can you win a game in the first quarter? No! Can you win a game in the second quarter? No! Can you win a game in the third quarter? No!